Okay, awesome. Go ahead. Show me the magic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we're doing is helping with that intake process, whether it's called a discovery call or a client interview, whatever you want to call it. Um, the overall piece of Risk Advisor is making it easy to have a good conversation with the client. And what I mean by that is not necessarily like, hey, let me get your name, date of birth, and address, and I'll get you the cheapest quote as quick as I can. Actually taking care of their risk and diving into some of the details about their property and their vehicles and their liability and things like that. So anybody that you put in here, they're going to create what's called a client profile. So that way you can come back, whether it's working on it at renewal or if the X date, you're able to at any point create a renewal here to bring in all that information that you had previously submitted without having to pull it back in or enter it back in. So what I'll do is I'll just start on a new one here. So if you've got an agency Zoom integration here, you're able to, let me make sure that I've turned that agency Zoom integration on. There we go.
Oh, so it integrates from your side. Okay, gotcha. Because I haven't seen it on the agency Zoom side, so we have to do it through this portal.
Yeah, so I know you're pretty active in there. The first step is to send data and then get enough people requesting that sends it back over here. So, but what we can do is we built it to where like this search field, if there's a lead or customer inside of Agency Zoom, you can pull that in, and then it just hadn't been turned on for date of birth. But so once you start getting into like the home, auto, and umbrella, the lead sources are pulling straight from Agency Zoom. So the categories and the actual lead sources. So that way there's not a lot that you don't have to go through Zapier and do a huge lookup table. If your agency's like mine, where there's 150 different lead sources. This way, if it's updated inside of Agency Zoom, if you're adding one or changing the name, next time you come in here, it's going to be updated as well.
Perfect.
Any notes that you put in here are going to be in the activities of that lead card as well. So if you're getting their kid's name or their dog's name or something like a secondary house or something like that, any of those notes that you add in there automatically going to be in there. So that way you can keep up with it as well. And then on the independent side, if you're integrating with a management system through Agency Zoom, those notes and those files and everything like that would carry over to that as well. But so as you're going through this, so what's a good home address for you?
I was gonna give you my house, but that's probably not a good idea since I'm recording this. Do 8400 Equest, EQUEST Lane in Eagle, Idaho. There you go.
Cool.
That's a old address, but I know that house. Go ahead.
Cool. So once you put that in, able to pull that house up on Zillow pretty easily. Same thing if you want to do like a Google search, that way you can do an overhead view quickly. You're able to do that within a couple clicks there as well. And then depending on what's available via some of the public records that we've tied into, things like year built, square footage, like some of them will be able to grab in some additional things like plumbing or type of roof, roofing shape, things like that. It's going to automatically pre-fill it for you. We're working to expand that to add some additional ones, but that's kind of where that piece is now. But from what I've seen on the home side, that conversation normally starts whether you know the answer or you're having to ask them, hey, is this a new purchase? So is it a new purchase? Yes. Okay. What's your purchase date, which is going to be the effective date? So when I ask for both, when are you moving in? If it's within 1 week, no worries. If it's within 30 days, okay. Are you renting the home back to the sellers, or is there another reason why this home you're not moving in for a while? Make sure you're avoiding a vacancy issue. But all those questions are going to be nested under this yes. So if it's a no, you're not seeing those questions. You're not having to deal with those questions. You're not having to worry about them. So
lots
if it's
of logic
no,
behind it.
Exactly. Cool. So if it's no, who's the current carrier? Premium, when does the policy expire? Oh, you've only been there for a year. All right, let me get that prior address now. Good insurance score, things like that. Is the home currently on the market? Fun stuff like that. And then a lot of those, like, hey, is this a secondary? Okay, what's some conditional logic there? Is it a rental property, even though it might be a primary or secondary, rent Airbnb, things like that. But a lot of those, you can hide under those additional questions. So that way you're not spending a lot of time on looking through or scrolling through things that don't apply.
Yeah.
Exposure sections, we're helping like animals, if you got a dog list, you got a pool, things like that. And then once you get into the property details, pretty straightforward there.
So I absolutely love this. I've been trying to build something similar like this through Jotform. I started building it through Alchemer, which used to be Survey Gizmo, and then I did a Jotform. And I will say, like, it is so time consuming, and there's so many options to think about, right? Like, you were just like, is it vacant? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even have that in my form. And
so this is really
cool. I really like it. Keep going. But
yeah. So this started out on Jotform for my agency. I spent about 80 hours building this out for my agency. I come from a media arts background, so there was some small coding in there that I wanted to make it look a little bit better, but the overall idea of it is it took a ton of time. But yeah, so updates, if there has been no updates to the home, you click no, it's going to default it to the year built. But if there has been, then it goes into, okay, those specific updates. So if there has been an update to the roof, but there's no updates to the plumbing, electrical, wiring, if you add a water heater, it's got the water heater, same for the HVAC. If there hadn't been updates to those, that way you're not typing in $19.99 for each one of them, type of thing.
Sure.
We got the replacement cost section. If some agencies like sending that information over, some of them don't worry about it. So we make that hidden, or where you can expand it. You get into the coverage selection. We try to make that pretty easy. So dwelling coverage is going to default B, C, and D. But if you need more here for detached structure, you can do so. Same thing on like personal property and all that fun stuff.
So
additional coverage. Go ahead.
Does this like spit out a quote form, like with that information in it?
Yeah. So.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. I'm just getting excited. Keep going.
No, I love it. So like once this is done, and I'll show you where all you can send this in a moment. Let's see here. So home, like if you go in the home form.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Super organized. A lot of people use this to send over to virtual assistants to do the data entry. So with virtual assistants, if you're using someone overseas, you need to be very detailed and specific about what you're going through. So that way they don't come back and ask you questions on every single item or something like that. So if a lot of things, if they're not answered, or if it doesn't apply, it'll hide them the same way. So that way, like co-applicant information, if there's no co-applicant, all this is not there. So that way they don't ask about it.
Sure.
Over here, we got this table of contents where you can jump around, making it like if you're down here under underwriting, but they're asking questions, or they mentioned something about a dog, you can jump up to exposures and get back into that. Auto information is pretty straightforward. If it's a situation where I totally lost where I was going with that, but yeah, auto is pretty straightforward. If you're quoting in multiple states, that's where I was going with it. If you're quoting in multiple states, it's going to have all that state specific coverages for you. So I think we pulled up Idaho. So those look pretty similar to South Carolina. That's the one I know. But if you select Michigan, it's going to have a list that's 3 times as long as this, with all the Michigan state specific coverages.
Mm-hmm.
If the applicant and the co-applicant is going to automatically pre-fill the first 2 drivers, so that way there's no duplicate entry there. You can add as many drivers as you need to with no limit. Same thing for vehicles. We got VIN lookup if you copy and paste it in there. For the raters, when they need like a dummy VIN, if you say no, it will generate that dummy VIN in the background, so that way that data goes over. We've got recreational vehicles under the auto, so you can grab as many of those as you need to. It supports, again, same thing as the vehicle, as many as you want. Same thing for round out, so personal articles. If say jewelry and coin collection, whatever you need to there. I'm a big proponent of the more lines of business you write on the front end, or at least have the conversation on, the stickier that business is going to be. So we try to make it really easy to grab that.
Yeah.
Umbrella section is if you got the date of birth and you ask for the gross household annual income and the estimated net worth, we're going to kick out an estimated liability risk. So instead of it just being, hey, everybody in my agency gets $1 million. Okay, why? Well, that's because what the rule is. This turns it into, based on your specific situation, like let's say you get a 22-year-old developer who makes $200,000 a year, but is buying a house that is $150,000. Well, okay, you're more than fine with $1 million. Well, in that situation, they make $250,000 a year when the net worth's nothing, or let's put in just $10 there. That's still a lot of future earnings that could be in trouble if their wages are garnished.
Do you guys use the 25% at 15 years for your calculation?
Yeah, we do 25%. Right now, it's not state specific, so we just did 25%. We took the 65 as the estimated retirement age minus their current age. So for a 22-year-old, it would be 43 years. Now, each state, I know there are some states where that number is capped at a certain amount of years, but that's how we do it now. We're going to go back in when we've got some time to look at each state.
Yeah, that makes sense though. So garnished at 25% till retirement is the calculation that this works on. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool.
At any point, if they say, hey, I need to get back with you or something like that, you can always save it as a draft as well. But then once we get to the review and send page for Agency Zoom, this is important, new business versus renewal rewrite. So if it's blank or new business, it's going to put it in as a lead in whatever pipeline you had set up in the integration. We do have it set up here where if you've got multiple pipelines per producer, you can select the pipeline that you want it to go into, select the stage. So if it's finding someone, the first step is it's going to search to see if there's a lead already in there and then update it. And then if there's not, it's going to create one. So you can set all that up to your specific standards.
Do you do quote forms? Is it just personal lines or do you do commercial lines quote forms too?
Right now, it's just the personal lines, the home, auto, umbrella, and then technically the valuables and the recreation.
Yeah, all the additional.
Yeah. We're going to add additional lines like dwelling fire. We've been asked to get into commercial, but our first focus is that personal line side, and then we'll kind of expand from there.
Commercial gets really hairy.
What did you say?
Commercial gets really hairy, so many variables.
And it's like someone asked me just this, like if you can just give me a spot to upload all of my chords and this review and send page, like that would be valuable because being able to have all my brokers or have all my underwriters in one spot. Because so if you have a virtual assistant, you can say, send a virtual assistant, tell them which carriers you want quotes from, add in any additional notes that you want them to have. Same thing for brokers. So if you're working with wholesale brokers, I'm in coastal South Carolina, so that's a big thing for me. I can have all my coastal brokers there. So they're like, if you can give me that on the commercial side, just for my broker list, that's valuable. But that's how you.
So when you do send to broker, so you've set up the email for your underwriter with that broker in the system.
Yep.
So it sends it to your underwriter at that broker.
Yep. So that's part of our setup process,
cool.
Customized to your agency. This one is a example of a VA or data entry person. Yeah. So they would get this email.
I agree with whoever told you that on the commercial side, because my gal, even though we're a farmers agency, we still have to quote outside when farmers isn't able to do the policy. And we keep track of it in Agency Zoom and stuff, but the ability to be click, 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 send all of that to one, oh my gosh, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, those comments have definitely moved it up on our list. We've got 23, we've got some really fun ideas and good ideas on the personal line side, but it was probably originally a 3 to 5 year plan, but it's moved up much further than that because of those comments. Yeah. So that's good to know there too. But yeah, so this is an example, send it to a virtual assistant, and that can be someone overseas, or that can be someone like your data entry that you were kind of talking about. Hey, these are the carriers I want quotes from. These are the home carriers. These are the auto carriers. Here's your notes if you want to add any additional notes. When you want that quote back by, who to Slack. We set our VA up in Slack, so we tell them, hey, this one, please Slack David if you have any questions. Please email David once you're done. Go to QQ, find this person. If they're not in there, there's a lot of typos in there, so I need to use a different example. But go through that process, and then like any of those attachments that you uploaded would be here, and then those PDFs would also be there. Whether that's for the virtual assistant and or the broker.
It's funny that we're going through this right now, because just the other day in our automation group, I posted and was asking questions to agents that are kind of creating almost like assembly lines in their agencies. I just hired a gal that is doing like this quote intake information, and we have a baby version like jot form to just gather the basics. And a lot of agents were talking about how, yeah, we have like someone who calls, we have someone who does the data entry, and then we have like our closers, and they're presenting the quotes and closing the quotes. And it allows you, we all know specializing is the way to go, right? Everybody who specializes is more successful, makes more money, can charge more for their services. Doctors, there's so many examples, right? You don't want to do everything. And it's interesting how the industry has kind of shifted this way, because we can compartmentalize out parts of our business. This is so great because you can have someone who's really well trained in having those discussions and answering questions and building value around liability limits, have a data entry person, and then have your closer. That might be the same person who took the information in, but I don't know. This is cool. I love how it goes out to the brokers. I love how it goes to the VA or your data entry person, where it's all built in. I've seen some systems like this. Like there's a system called SaltForms. I don't know if you've seen that yet. So I did a demo with them. I haven't recorded it, but it's kind of similar in a way that it pulls a little bit of public information, but it doesn't have that information going out right to your additional resources, or that integration with Agency Zoom, which not everybody needs the Agency Zoom thing. Not everybody uses it, but this is cool. Like you picked up on a lot of extra pieces I haven't actually seen in any other software that I've demoed so far.
Yeah, and that's a part of it is, okay, if our number one pushback is, okay, duplicate entry. I love what you're doing, but if I enter in here, I still have to go somewhere else. Well, okay, so the first step is to, if I remove one piece of duplicate entry, then it's no additional work for you. But if I continue to reduce multiple duplicate entries spots, then it's actually saving you time, all while doing a better job on the front end. So yeah, I think that post was actually either I reached out or I commented that we're finishing up our Agency Zoom integration or something like that. But yeah, and then on top of that, we've got the Easy Links. That one's live. We've got Quote Rush that we're finishing up, and PL Rating. So when you hit send, it would pop into, like, let's say you have someone who's your data entry. You have someone, if you needed to send it out to a wholesale broker and you're sending it out to PL Rating, it's going to drop it in the inbox of that data entry, a broker, the PL Rating, and Agency Zoom, all with one click of the button.
So you really want people starting here, like, because in my agency, we start in Agency Zoom because we enter the information, then we click over to like our quoting system. Obviously, like we have a link for farmers agents, but then there's obviously PL Rater and things like that as well. So the idea would be more here because they're starting in the entire quote form, and then everything shows up in your CRM for the additional automation and lead follow-up and documentation, and your AMS. And your VA gets notified. So you don't really need to have your VA in your CRM if they're only doing data entry.
Yeah, and that's right there is one of the main reasons why I asked for like this one right here. So that way we can pull in leads. So those who still want those who still want that information in their CRM first. And like for us, my website, I've got it set up through Zapier that it drops into Agency Zoom as well. So any of that, now that's basic information. It's just going to be this information right here, but it's still going to save the time of not having to enter. And also the match is coming from the email. So it cuts down on, well, I added an extra H or misspelled Josh. That's a bad example, but I misspelled Josh So then it's going to create a duplicate and I got to deal with that. But if we're pulling it in from what's already in Agency Zoom, you don't have to worry about that.
I think I know the answer, but when all this information is documented and, if the lead's not there, it's creating it, or there's, it's updating and that kind of stuff. Is any of that quote information that you've collected, does that document in Agency Zoom anywhere?
So
is it backlinking
with my developer? I'm not able to do. We were looking at creating an opportunity in custom fields. Those are going to have to come down the pipeline later. But those PDFs will be dropped in as attachments into the lead card. So
cool. So it shows up in the files. Awesome.
Yep, exactly.
That alone is good enough. Like what a lot of agents that I talk to miss is they get all this great information, they put it into maybe their rater or to the carrier itself, and then it expires after so long and they're not holding on to it. Or when they are reworking their leads, like, because I of course coach people to recycle their leads, right? Don't just try once, keep trying for years on end until they basically tell you to leave them alone. And we get a lot of sales from that. But you don't want to have to recollect, right? You want to verify. You just want to say, hey, this is what you told me last time. Is this right? And you want it easily accessible, because otherwise you're just wasting time and asking the questions all over again. The calls should be pretty short when you're recycling leads. So I love that it puts the PDF in there. I think that's actually probably better than putting it into the activities, because in the activities or in like a comment or note, you have to go find it, but the files are very easy to access.
Yeah, another piece around that is whether it's a renewal or where you're having to do a reshop, or it's a situation where you're wanting to go back and try to win it. So if it's, what we do is if that button says save and send, so you're either sending it to a VA, sending it to a rater, it's going to lock it. So that way that information's locked in there. You can't go back and change it, things like that. But if it's locked, what you can do is we've got this create renewal button. So what it's going to do there is just pull in everything that you submitted the first time. Like this is one where I was testing the Agency Zoom notes. So that's going to pull in. You're going to have your lead source. So if this was a really good referral partner, whoever's handling your renewals would know that. But then from there, what you're basically having to do is verify information instead of having to ask for it all again. So what I kind of tell my team, all right, let's start on discounts. Hey, are there any opportunities for us to cross-sell business? There's no companion discounts here. So if we're shopping because of an increase, that's something good there. Exposures. Okay, let's verify that there's no dogs or animals in the household. There's no pool in the household, trampoline. Jump down to updates. Have there been any updates since the last time this has been worked? With the replacement cost, this was at $500 2 years ago. So let's go ahead and bump this up to $550 to keep up with that. And then from there, you're able to quickly send that back out. You exchange it to renewal rewrite, so that way it doesn't go into the new business pipeline on Agency Zoom. You can send it out to your virtual assistant, send it out to brokers, send it out to your rater, all right there. And then if you had attached any additional notes like an inspection, it's going to be right there for you as well.
So with the connection to Agency Zoom, this is super cool, by the way, but with the renewal rewrite, do you guys have any kind of sync or link up to the service center in Agency Zoom yet?
We have looked at building that out. I made the decision to wait until their API doesn't allow for us to send documents yet. And so I did not put it as a priority for this engagement just because I didn't have, right now, I have an inside team that does development, but we outsource the building of this. And so wanted to get some of the other things done, but that I'm keeping an eye on them being able to accept docs. But if we get caught up on everything else, we're going to create the tickets and stuff like that too.
Okay. Well, I'm in the process of building out Service Center for the agents I work with. I'm building 7 pipelines, and renewals is a big one, especially on the commercial side, personal lines as well. But I have, they're pushing one update for me by the end of this month and another one in January. And I've had them do like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different updates to Service Center. So if we need doc push, let me know and I will, I'll push that for the development team. But that would be huge. Like, the ability to just recapture that information and not have to gather it again. I really like that. I can see that being super beneficial in the Service Center.
Yeah, and that's something that as feedback comes in, that's something that we can work on. And but yeah, so under the API, the only options we have for files is uploading upload a lead file to Leads. And they said that hopefully doing that under a service ticket center would come in 23.
Yeah, they have they're basically booked up for all of their enhancements through, I think, the end of second quarter. I squeezed a couple in additional, but yeah, they've got a lot going on, which is good stuff. Cool. Okay, I was just curious because I'm literally in the middle of that right now, and it's funny, you're like, oh, this is on our development plan, and I've only been working in the software space for the last 3 years, just with Agency Zoom and a few other limited softwares, and it is amazing. The development just never stops. It's never ending. You're constantly adding and developing and thinking of new ideas. And
our backlog, I've got the ideas that I have in my backlog is enough for its own application that would probably do really well on its own.
Right.
But yeah,
there's always these ideas. They're just everywhere.
Yep. Cool. You'll appreciate this once you get into the independent world. And I know you already mentioned that you're doing a little bit of it now, but one thing we're going to do in 23 is you're answering these questions about, okay, exposures. There's a German Shepherd in the household. This is the zip code. A lot of those are available on quick reference guides on whether it's eligible or not. So why not give you a prompt right here that says Progressive is ineligible because of the dog. Safeco is ineligible because of the zip code. And so that way we're saving you time on making it easy for you to send it out to a VA to punch it in a bunch of different carriers. But why not make it easy to not tell them, or to tell them which carriers not to quote it with because it's ineligible. And then that way, if our list, we have 25 different carriers there. Well, if we can reduce that down to 4 or 5, it's going to get us the ability to turn it around a lot
quicker. Way less work. Yeah, definitely. It's always hilarious to me that big companies or carriers for that don't have these types of softwares, and they really do come from the field, from the agents who are working in the field every day and dealing with these same problems. And we're like, there has to be a better system, and then one of them builds it, right? And it's so much better than what the carriers give us or the AMS companies. It's just, we're so driven by solving the problems in our own agencies. Just cracks me up sometimes. But this is really cool. I kind of thought it was going to be similar to SALT, but it's a lot more robust, which is an awesome surprise.
Yeah. That's our most common comparison, and I think they're doing great things over there, and we'll have a component of that next year, but with the consumer facing side of it. But I mean, I picked the name Risk Advisor because I wanted to build a product that helps agents do a better job of selling the correct coverage and building that rapport. Anytime it comes up in any of the groups, when you start talking about, hey, I want to send a form for them to fill out or a link for them to fill out, and want it to the consumer facing raters and things like that, those are great. But the problem is your closure ratio is going to plummet. You're going to, not just because of the data that you're getting, which is always a huge buzzword now, but then on top of that, you're going to have the issue with you're not talking to them, or you're talking to them a lot less, which is not going to allow you to show why you're different. And so that's what we're trying to build here, is to give the agents the tool to be able to compete on quality versus just pricing.
Yeah, and I think this is great. I was coached and trained when I learned insurance to sell on value. We did liability exposure worksheets for everybody. We were doing everything in person my first few years of insurance, which is totally not sustainable, of course, especially these days. So we had to shift a lot of that. But we had these conversations. But I will say, what I think a lot of people don't realize is, because I get to see behind the curtains of some of these really large agencies, some small agencies too. But these agencies, some of these that are putting up these really big numbers, right? They're doing tons of volume. Like you said, they're not asking all these detailed questions and, getting kind of into the education side of the insurance. They're putting up big numbers, which is great. But what everybody else does not see is their attrition. They don't see the customer service volume, the number of policies that fall off because of underwriting. They just see the new business numbers, and they don't see the back end. Well, since I'm working in the automation side in the CRM, and we're working on servicing and, you know, all of that, I get to hear from these agents. I mean, they might be writing a couple, you know, 100,000, 200,000 in premium every month, but what sticks and how long does it stick? That is a very interesting number when you start getting into some of these offices and things like this. If the agents would just slow down, spend an extra 5 minutes, maybe 10, and do this, their production might not quite be as high, but their agency will grow so much faster because they're not losing the business. It's not falling off. They don't need as many customer service staff members because the business isn't being written properly. There's a very large agent that I know out of Florida in particular, and they had some issues with one of his big carriers, and they had to rewrite a huge portion of their book, and some of it was from some of the stuff that was going on. So I love this. I think this is super cool. It also is a great tool for training, because if you think about sitting a new employee down in front of your computer and you're saying call and ask questions, they inevitably always forget some questions to ask. And I mean, not that it's going to stop them for some of this stuff. I saw not all of it was required, but how easy, right? You're quoting home, ask all these questions, just ask questions. You're already better off just by asking the questions and then teaching them how to explain that little liability piece. They can do that in a sentence or two. Totally different experience than if they call the Geicos and the Progressives of the world.
100%.
Call centers, I should say, you know.
No, I love
this is really cool.
Retention ratio. Our agency, yes, we're coastal, so we've got premium issues there, but which is a good thing on our end. But I mean, the last 2 years, 2 years ago, we wrote $3.5 million in written premium. This year we're writing $4 million, and our retention ratio is 92%. So
oh my gosh,
our
awesome.
Our year-over-year growth is, the last 3 years has been 25% each year. And but my team is great. Like the producers we got, the service staff that we got are phenomenal. But I would like to say a little bit of it was we took a big jump when I built this out on JotForm 2.5 years ago. And so taking that little extra time to do it right on the front end and not have to, even on the new business side, hey, I forgot about this, or here's your quote. Okay, I forgot to tell you it's an LLC. Oh, now it's ineligible because of the LLC, things like that. So
yeah.
But I thank you for shooting me a message, and loved getting to show it to you, and love to kind of keep up with each other on it. And what I'll do is I'll send you
Yeah, and I mean, this is completely up to you. Obviously, we're still recording, but I mean, if you're okay with it, I would love to share this recording in our group. I don't know how you guys handle new customers and stuff, but I am a big fan of pre-recorded demos, because I'll tell you, I run a couple of groups on social media, and people are watching this stuff and interacting with the groups like when we're all closed. Right? We're insurance agency owners. We are on our phones at 1 o'clock in the morning, perusing, you know, the next best thing and trying to figure out how to be more efficient versus sleeping, which most of us need more of. So I am trying to record more of this stuff for agents so they can just get a sneak peek. And if this is a big problem they have, then they can reach out. And then obviously, you know, I know there's a lot more to it on the back end if they wanted an account. But at least getting an idea, because no joke, this conversation is happening in our group today. I know you saw the initial one, but there was just somebody who was asking if there was anyone that had JotForms written, and one of the agents said, hey, I've been working on this, let's partner up. And they're working on their own JotForm. And now I'm going to be like, whoa, wait, do this instead. Like, don't spend all that time on JotForm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about that. What I'll do is I'll put together a landing page, put on a discount on there, and get that over to you. They'll have a link for how to sign up, and then I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I'll let you go. I think we're getting close to our time anyways. And, but I'm excited about this. I'm going to hop on your website and look into it. I pulled up your pricing and stuff on here too. Yeah, if you're able to get us a discount for the agents in our group, I think you should totally promote this in there. I think this is really helpful, and maybe we could even schedule like a live call so people could ask questions. But you know, the whole point of the insurance automation group is to help people solve problems, because the industry is not getting any easier. And with inflation, just like any other business, right? If we don't innovate, I mean, I don't care if people have to have insurance. Like our agencies will just not be profitable and will not be around unless we're innovating. And this is the kind of stuff that we need. We have to shorten our training with our staff. We have to do a better job. And we have to, underwriting is getting harder. I mean, the requirements is just getting harder and harder. So I'm sure you're going to be updating that form like every year with all these crazy additional questions that the companies are asking.
I need to get the update out for the under the exposures for solar panels. That's becoming more and more a big thing.
Oh yeah, it's a good point.
You're spot on that, and I'm excited about it, and I'll get that landing page over to you, and I'm more than happy to offer a discount on it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm excited to stay in contact because you're doing a lot of the same stuff that like I'm trying to help people with. And so we'll keep connecting.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Bye.
Bye.